Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel called The Paper Bag Investor, where we're going to take a deeper look at investing and the finance. Today I want to talk about my biggest holding company I love the most, Tesla, and why Tesla will be absolutely huge. My thesis on this, why they have a huge amount of runway ahead of them. So let's get into it. And there's really two reasons why they're going to be huge. That's number one, EVs, electric vehicles, and number two, full self-driving cars. So let's dive into the two areas, why they'll each be huge themselves, and why Tesla is positioned to be a market leader in each. So number one, why EVs will be huge. There's a number of reasons why EVs are going to take over completely. And one of the top ones is they can offer a better product and even a better, potentially an equal or better product ecosystem than gas vehicles. So let's look at the product first. Looking at just electric vehicles versus gas vehicles on a product basis. If you think back in 2012, all the way back 2012, that's 8 years ago now, the Tesla product itself was already much better than gas cars. For example, Consumer Reports at the time actually tested the Model S and said it was, and I quote, they said, the best car ever tested. And I'll put a link to that article that shows that below in the description. But why was it so good? What makes an EV so much better than a gas car, just from a product standpoint, or specifically a Tesla? Because its performance and safety are superior to a gas car. And why are the performance and safety superior? There's a number of reasons, but a big reason is the balance of a vehicle. In a Tesla, a lot of the weight of the vehicle is in the battery pack, and that can be distributed over the length of the vehicle in an even, uniform, balanced way, which keeps the center of gravity of the vehicle distributed over the four wheels and keeps it lower to the ground. Versus a gas vehicle, you kind of acts more like a bobblehead, where you have a large portion of the weight situated in the front of the engine. And this makes Tesla a lot more balanced, or an electric vehicle really could have this potential. Be a lot more balanced, which gives it better handling, which increases its performance, but also lowers the chance of getting in an accident to begin with. And also this lower center of gravity, better balance in a Tesla, also lowers the risk of having a rollover in the event of an accident. Teslas also have a better crumple zone. So in a Tesla, the whole front of the vehicle is a crumple zone, the trunk that they call it, and versus a gas vehicle that has an engine there. And this makes it much, much, much safer. If you're in any kind of collision that's head-on related in any way, then you have that much larger crumple zone to absorb that impact. Okay, another third reason why their performance or safety is superior is because of the instant torque. So electric motors having instant torque, which gives Tesla's a much faster acceleration than a typical gas vehicle. So yeah, there's safety and performance are better, but what else makes an electric vehicle or a Tesla, because they are the best electric vehicle by far, but what else makes them better than a gas car from a product standpoint? Another reason would be the sound. They're much quieter. You don't have that engine noise. They're quiet. They're much quieter because you don't have that engine noise of a gas vehicle. There's no maintenance, so it's an incredible time savings, cost savings, not having to worry about the maintenance schedule on your vehicle. There's practically no maintenance on an electric vehicle. They're more, especially Teslas, would be considered a computer on wheels. That's really what I would consider them. They're designed entirely from the bottom up with this in mind. The only car that I know of that does over-the-air software updates regularly does that and makes the car better just by improving the software. Teslas also have what I would call a much better climate control and ability to do that without just running your gas motor. I live in Canada, and in the wintertime it can get very, very cold. So say it's minus 30, minus 40 in the winter. And normally with a gas vehicle, with your car being parked outside, you have to start it up beforehand, let the engine run for a while to heat up the car. It burns a lot of gas. You have to scrape off the windows, typically with ice scraper. With the Tesla, if you can just program it. You have it plugged in anyways at home if it's parked outside, and you can just program it to heat up before you have to leave, which is amazing because then whether you're just using a little bit more electricity, but you're not really, it's that cost versus relative cost of the gas you're burning when you're just warming up your gas car is significant. They're also amazing too because in the summertime, when it's hot out and you're running around doing errands, say you go in and out of a store, you can just leave your car running and leave the air conditioner on it running. You're not really leaving the whole motor running, but you can just leave the air conditioner running, keep your car cool, so that it's at the right temperature you want when you get back to it. And really, you're just using a little bit more electricity. You're sacrificing a little bit of range, but most of the time you're not worried about range. You're just in amongst your own city or area, and then you go back to your home and charge up again. So those are a few reasons why EVs and specifically Teslas are a better product. Let me know are there other reasons why they're a better product than a gas vehicle. I'm sure there are. If you can think of any, just let me know in the comments below. It'd be awesome. Okay, now let's take a look at the product ecosystem. And really right now, gas cars, they really do have an amazing product ecosystem if you think about it. You can go anywhere in the world and easily find a gas station and fill up your vehicle. In fact, in that Consumer Reports article, they said if EVs could quickly recharge at a gas station, for example, they would score 110 out of 100, which is crazy. It shows you how amazing the product was even back in 2012. EV charging infrastructure is still a work in progress as the charging infrastructure grows, but that is changing. Tesla has over 2,000 supercharging stations and over 18,000 supercharging connectors at those stations. So about an average of do my math, about 9 connections per station. And they continue to aggressively ramp up the building of these supercharging stations. In the last year, they've built 448 new supercharging stations alone, which is an average of over one station per day. It's like close to 1.25 stations per day. So every 4 days, it's 5 more stations are built at that rate. And for a lot of Tesla owners or electric vehicle owners, they really are not worried about range. Most of the time they're charging at home, going to work, doing their daily activities, and have more than enough range for those activities. It's really just in certain markets, like a North American market, where you take long road trips, that we need that charging infrastructure, that supercharging infrastructure ability to every few hours stop for whether it's 15 minutes, half an hour, and charge up your Tesla while you take a little break on the road. And Tesla's solving this problem with supercharging and getting faster charge times and more superchargers available all across North America and across the world, which really would push push them to that Consumer Reports 110 out of 100 rating. And in a lot of markets, like the Chinese market, for that kind of consumer, they typically aren't driving as far as North Americans. So you don't even necessarily need quite as much of that supercharging infrastructure for the product to be extremely popular. Or shall I say, huge. Okay, now second reason why EVs are going to be absolutely huge is because they're better for the environment and climate change. There seems to be some confusion in the general public about whether EVs are actually more environmentally friendly or not. So let me break this down. Right now, electric vehicles have a larger greenhouse gas footprint if you just compare the manufacturing as the vehicle rolls out of the factory versus a gas vehicle. But over the life of the vehicle, as it's driven, an electric vehicle has significantly less of a greenhouse gas footprint than a gas vehicle. Obviously, because it's not burning gas, it's using electricity that's generated in some form or another, maybe through renewable energy or through coal energy. But on average, over the whole lifespan of a vehicle, right now on average, an electric vehicle has about half the greenhouse gas footprint that a gas vehicle does. And the amazing thing is this is only going to get better because as energy sources for generating electricity for the vehicles or generating electricity in general, as they shift towards more renewable sources, then that overall greenhouse gas footprint for an electric vehicle is going to continue to decline. So while I see gas vehicles are basically maxed out in terms of innovation, there's still lots of room for innovation in how electric vehicles, could be even manufactured and minerals mined for those, along with the energy sources having a continued shift towards renewable energy, which is really, really exciting. I think climate change is one of the biggest problems facing humanity today, and I think this is going to continue to drive EV adoption and drive governments at more of a government level, even drive governments to mandate EVs and EV adoption, which we're already seeing. And now I want to talk about why self-driving cars will be huge, absolutely massive. Just think for a moment about the value of a level 5 regulator approved full self-driving. I really believe that if a company can achieve that completely and entirely, where regulators are happy to trust that and consumers are happy to trust that, a vehicle that could literally drive by itself or drive with them sleeping in the car, I think a company like that will easily be double the market cap of the next largest company in the world at the time. And I'll get into some of those numbers in other videos I make. But just think about the value of that, of every single moment that someone spends driving, and if they could instead either send the car with no one in it, if they don't need to be in the car for the trip, or if they do need to be in the car, they're going somewhere themselves, they could spend that time doing other work or sleeping, basically doing something of value where you free up that time, which is incredible. I mean, just think about the implications if cars could be used as robo-taxis, where instead of only being utilized a small percentage of the day, they could be shared vehicles that are always going to do another trip as needed. No driver, no employee needed. Or say you wanted to travel, say you live in North America and you wanted to travel to another city 6 or 7 hours away by car. Rather than taking an expensive flight and waiting through security, you could take a long-distance robo-taxi through the night while you slept, which would be absolutely amazing. And if, say we're going to do some really, really rough math, I think there's about 2 billion cars on the planet. Say every single one of those cars could drive itself perfectly like a robo-taxi. And now let's assume that every car is driven approximately 1 hour per day on average. Might be a little high, a little low. These are just really rough numbers, like I said. And so then you have about 1 hour a day times by 2 billion cars is about 2 billion hours of time, of people's time that are used driving. So say you apply a number to that, even who knows what that number is. Maybe it's $10 an hour of value of people's time, freeing that up. Then you're talking $10 an hour times by $2 billion a day is $20 billion a day. Of course, $20 billion a day times by 365 days a year is $7.3 trillion per year. So those are extremely rough numbers, but the implications are just massive, staggering what the value of this could be. And in my mind, if any company is going to reach this full self-driving, regulated, what I call regulator-approved full self-driving, where regulators trust it, consumers trust it actually works. If anyone's actually going to reach that, it will, in my mind, it will be Tesla. And the reason for this is one simple word: data. Every single vehicle that Tesla makes is equipped with all the hardware to do full self-driving, at least from their strategy. Most other companies trying to do full self-driving are taking a hardware-heavy approach where they have lots of cameras, lots of sensors, lots of LiDAR on the vehicle, a lot of expensive hardware, and then they're doing less on the software, less on the intelligence side of the vehicle. Tesla's doing the opposite. They're basically imitating what we as humans do when we drive. When we drive as humans, we have two eyes, basically two cameras in our head that can, using the two cameras, we can assess depth correctly. And we have those cameras on a gimbal, our neck, positioned on our head, with a bunch of mirrors so we can look around the car. And this works. It works for humans, but it's really not even that great. But it works. We know it works. And this is the approach Tesla's basically doing, but with, I think it's 8 cameras on a Tesla, on all different sides. And then they're building what they're really working on is building out that intelligence side of the vehicle so that the vehicle can understand what a hole in the concrete looks like and what a patch on the concrete that's a black shadow looks like. Or the vehicle can understand the nuances of other vehicles around them and how they move in different scenarios and how to be cautious in all kinds of millions of different subtle little situations that come up when you're driving. But the main thing I love about Tesla is all the data they're collecting. Every single person who owns a Tesla and is using their self-driving software is helping train their self-driving software to make it better. We'll talk about this in more detail in other videos. But just to summarize this video, I really believe that electric vehicles and self-driving cars will be the future of our world. And I didn't mention this, but the two actually complement each other as well, because as the kilometers per electric vehicle increase, as a car is driven more, the overall cost of electric vehicle declines because its operating costs are so low. So with self-driving, you pair that with that hand in hand. The two go together just perfectly hand in hand, where self-driving cars could in theory be robo-taxis that are driving a significantly larger chunk of time than current vehicles are driving. But yeah, it's gonna be awesome. It's a very exciting future, and EVs are gonna be huge. Full self-driving, robo-taxis are gonna be huge. And thanks so much for listening. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up and or subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter at PaperBagInvest. And thanks so much for watching. You guys are awesome. We'll see you in the next video.